Hi Year 3, happy Tuesday. We hope you got on really well yesterday with recognising your right angles. Well done if you managed to send across your work for us to have a little look at. Recognising right angles is the first stages of exploring different types of angles. And now we've started with the easiest, which is the right angle. We're going to use what we know about right angles today to think about direction and movement when we're talking about angles. So our walk for today is going to be recognising that 2 right angle turns and 3 right angle turns and 4 right angle turns make a whole turn. So 2 right angle turns make half a turn, 3 right angles make 3/4 of a turn, and 4 right angle turns make 1 whole turn. We touched on that yesterday in our video clip very briefly. We're going to be using that information and a bit more to do some work on turns and direction today. Before we begin, let's get our maths brains into gear with a 5 a day. So you should have saved in your folder a 5 a day in the OneDrive. I think I've got a copy of it up here. There it is there. It's got today's date on it. You may have it printed out. I know that some of you are writing on your computer screens. We've had some printed versions as well. So whichever way is best for you. Give yourselves no more than 10 minutes to complete it. Be honest with your answers. If you can't do something because you cannot figure out how to do it, leave it blank. And then when you're finished, come back to me and we will mark it together. So good luck. Off you go. Okay, hopefully you're all done. Remember, you need a green pen or a different colour pencil for marking. Put your normal pencil to the side and mark your 5 a day honestly. If you get it right, you get it right. And if not, we know that you've got something to work on. So first one, write a digit in each box to make this correct. So we've got an 8 here in the tens box and nothing in the ones, and just a ones number on its own to make 95. So there is more than one answer you could have had here. So it needs to be 80 something add something equals 95. So I'm going to start with the first one you may have thought about. Could you have put 81 in there? Would that have been able to work? 81 add something. It couldn't work. Why couldn't it work? Why couldn't I have 81 there? Well done if you noticed. If I put 81 here to get to 95, I would need a 2-digit number, not a 1-digit number. 81 plus 14 would make 95. So I can't have 81. See if I can get rid of that one now. Probably not. Computer has a mind of its own. Oh, I know. Let's undo it. There we go. Got rid of the 81, I think. Let's see. With that in mind, could I have put 82 there? No, because it would have been 82 plus 13. So I couldn't have had that one. What about 83? Could have had 83? No, because I would have needed 12. Could I have had 84? No, because I would have needed 11. Could I have had 85 in that box? No, I couldn't have had 85 because I would have needed 10, which is still a 2-digit number. Therefore, I could have had 86 in this box. I'm going to draw it on because the typing doesn't always work. 86 adds something. What do I need to add to 86 to make 95? You could have had 86 add 9 equals 95. In that box there. Let's undo it. Which means that you could have also had 87. 87 add 8 to make 95. And you would have got a mark there as well. Well done if you got one of those. Which means you could have also have had the number 88. 88 add 7 to make 95. Which means that you also could have had 89. Add on 6 is 95. So if you had any of those answers, any one of them, you can give yourself a mark. You could have had 86, 87, 88, or 89. and adding that 1-digit number to make it 95. Well done. That was a tricky one. I tried to trick you today. Okay, moving across here. Write the number 610 in figures. That means in numbers. 610 would look like this. And we know a hundreds number has 3 digits. So that's a good way to remember it. Well done if you got that right. Give yourself a tick. Now I'm going to be really precise on this one down here because we've done it. So you should be able to do this really accurately. It says, show the time 25 past 5 on the clock. So the hour is 5, but it's past 5. So my hour hand, my shorthand, let's see if I can be really accurate, should be past the 5. There we go. My minute hand, 25 past, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, should be dead on the 5. So there should be a little bit of a gap between your minute hand and your hour hand to show 25 past 5. Well done if you managed to get that just as I've shown you there. That's a point. Over here, circle the shape that does not show 1/3. Now we've done a little bit of work on fractions in class. 1/3 means 3 parts, 1 part coloured in. 3 parts, 1 part coloured in. So straight away I can see this one, 3 parts and 1 part is coloured in. If I look at this first one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 12 parts there and there are 4 coloured in. So if I count my 3 times table, 3, 6, 9, 12, that's 4. So that is showing 1/3. This one, however, let's see how many parts. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts and 1's coloured in. That one doesn't, that one doesn't show 1/3. So you should have put a circle around that one and you get your point there as well. Well done if you got that right. Okay, over here, 425, take away 170. Now I would have done this, excuse my bad handwriting with a mouse, using my column addition. Sorry, subtraction. Column subtraction. This is how 170. Let's make sure we get the right number, Miss Brogan. 170. Like this with my takeaway and my line underneath. This is how I would have done it. You may have thought of a different way to do it. So I would have done 5 take away 0 is 5. Excuse my handwriting, year 3. 2 take away 7. I can't do that, so I needed to go next door. Change that to a 3. Make this 12. 12 take away 7. So I can put 7 in my head and count on. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 5. In there. And then we've got 3 take away 1, leaving me with 2. So you should have got the answer 255 using your method here. Now you could have done a different method. You could have done 400 take away 100, the expanded method, and done it like that. 400 take away 100, leaving you with 300. Then you could have done tried to do 20 take away 70, which you would have had to take away from some of here, and then 5 take away 0. That's the more difficult way of doing it, in my opinion. The column is nice and simple. We've done this in school. So 255 if you got your answer correct. So here you've got the possibility for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks. Let us know how you get on. Some of you are sending this over to us for us to have a look at, which is great, but you don't have to. Remember, it's only the work that we highlight on your overview that we need to see. So let me stop that share just there and get on to today's work. So like I said in the beginning, we are looking at angles as turns. So 1 turn is a quarter turn, 2 quarter turns make a half turn, 3 quarter turns make 3/4 turn, and 4 quarter turns make 1 whole turn. So it's thinking about direction today. So to begin with, I am going to show you your Education City Learn screen. Now this is saved for you in your angle folder. So when we'll watch it together. And then if you want to revise and go over that, you can as well, because it's there for you to have a look at. So if I share the Learn screen, if I can find it. Here it is. So remember, you're in your angles folder. This is the learn screen I'm going to watch with you now. It's called Angling for Angles. You are also going to need this second activity for your extension today. Who do you think you are? This is your extension, but I'll show you that afterwards. So let's have a look at this together. Being a bit slow to load up. Here we go.
Angles can describe how far something turns. Sten is making one full turn clockwise. We know that he moved clockwise since he turned in the same direction that a clock hand moves. If he turned in the opposite direction, he would be moving anti-clockwise. If something turns through a quarter of a full turn, we can say that it has turned one right angle. Sten has moved a quarter of a full turn clockwise. He has turned through one right angle. We can show that Sten has turned through a right angle by drawing a small square here.
So that's what we did yesterday, looking at that right angles inside a shape. So here in particular for turns, we're thinking about how many right angle turns he's moving.
If Sten turns through half of a full turn, he has turned through 2 right angles. If he turns through 3/4 of a full turn, he has turned through 3 right angles. And if he makes a full turn, he has turned through 4 right angles. Angles are also part of shapes. When 2 straight sides of a shape meet, they make a corner. In mathematics, we call the corner a vertex. The turn between the sides is an angle. A square has 4 corners or vertices. Each of these vertices is a right angle. A triangle has 3 vertices. These vertices can have different size angles. The turn needed to move between the sides of this vertex is a right angle. These 2 vertices need a smaller movement to turn from one side of them to the other. These angles are each smaller than a right angle. This shape has 4 vertices. Each vertex has a different size angle. One of the vertices is a right angle, and 2 are smaller than right angles. This one would need a big movement to turn from one side of the vertex to the other. This angle is bigger than a right angle. Can you think of any other shapes that have right angles?
Okay, so that just gives us a little bit. Oh. Why can I still hear it? Okay, so let's see if I can get you back. Sorry, children, don't know where I am. That just gave you a bit of an overview about the turns. We're going to see some more now. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint with you and also recap some of our work on right angles from yesterday. There was also a new word we learnt there, vertex, which is when the 2 lines meet, the space between. We call that a vertex or a corner. And also we've started to look at some of those angles that are smaller or larger than angle, which is going to be our work for tomorrow. So lots of information for you to take in. Let's go through this PowerPoint together. If I can find it, of course, everything looks like it's missing when you're trying to share it on the screen. And I will go from the beginning. So right angles in turns. That's what we're looking at today. Just like Sten in his boat, moving all the way around. So today we're going to recognise and use right angles in turns and for direction. So let's have a look at these 4 shapes. This child is facing the circle. Now we could say that that child is facing north. If they turn a quarter turn clockwise, which shape will they be facing? Now, remember, clockwise is the same direction that a clock ticks in, the hands moving. Clockwise would be going this way. The opposite of that, moving in the opposite direction, is anti-clockwise. So that's just something you're going to need to remember for today. So if he's facing the circle and he turns a quarter turn clockwise, remember the clock, quarter past, which shape will they be facing? If you said the square, well done. The child is facing the square now that he's turned 1/4 clockwise. Now, he's now facing the square, so we could say he's facing east. If we're thinking of a compass, north, south, east, west. And a good way to remember that is never eat shredded wheat. Or naughty elephants squirt water. 2 ways to remember that, to remember which order they go in. Never eat shredded wheat. Naughty, north. Elephants, east. Squirt, S, south. Water for west. 2 ways to remember it. Anyway, the child is facing the square. If they turn a half turn, which is 2/4, which shape will they be facing? So this time he's not just moving 1/4, he's turning half, which is 2/4. Which shape will they be facing? We're still going clockwise. Well done if you said the triangle. 1/4 turn would take him to the rectangle. So he's gone to here. 2/4 turns, which is the same as a half turn, would put him at the triangle. So he's now facing the triangle. If they turn a 3/4 turn, 3/4 clockwise, which shape will they be facing? So let's count. 1/4 turn, 2/4 turns, 3/4 turns would be the rectangle. Well done if you got it. And we're still going clockwise. Now he's facing the rectangle. If they turn a whole turn clockwise, which face will they be which shape will they be facing? So we're starting on the rectangle. We're doing a full turn, which is 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Be back where he started. If he does a full turn, he returns back to where he started. Did that show you that on there? Yeah, because he didn't move anywhere. He's in the same place, back in the same position. Okay, so when we're talking about angles, we talk about angles in a matter of degrees when we're measuring angles. Now, we're not going to be doing any measuring of angles in year 3, but it's good to know it in preparation for year 4. We measure them. So 1/4 turn we call 90 degrees. That's a right angle. A right angle is always 90 degrees when we're measuring angles. That means that a half a turn, which is 2/4, is 180. Now, if I use my 9 times table, 9, 18, and then pop the 0 back on, it's double. Double 90 is 180. So 1/4 is 90, 2/4 is 180. Therefore, if I go 3/4 turns and use my 9 times table, 9, 18, 27. 3/4 is 270 degrees. And a full turn, which is always good to know, from the top all the way back round, is 360 degrees. Oops, let me get back, sorry. So 9, 18, 27, 36 using your 9 times table. The one that you need to remember for me today, mainly, is this 90 degrees. A right angle is 90 degrees when we're measuring angles. So anti-clockwise turn is exactly the same. Okay, so if you go a quarter turn anti-clockwise, it's still 90. Half anti-clockwise is still 180. 3/4 turn anti-clockwise is still 270. And a full turn in the opposite direction is still 360 degrees. Okay, so let's have a little go at this then. This is really, really good. You can write this down if you want to, or you can just do it verbally with me now. What turning instructions would you give to this robot to escape to the maze? So he's firstly got to move in this direction. Now, if you remember, we said north, south, east, and west. So we're going to ask him to walk east until he gets to the end. Which way is he going to turn when he gets to the end? And how far is he going to turn? Well, he is turning clockwise because we need him to turn around and face this way, 1/4 turn. Then we're going to tell him to move south, going down. And now he gets to here. So he's facing down here. We need him to turn, again, clockwise, 1/4 turn clockwise. Then we're going to tell him to travel west till he gets to the end. This time he's facing out here. So this time we need him to turn anti-clockwise 1/4 to move south again. And then we need him to move anti-clockwise 1/4 again to get him to face the right way here. Then he's moving east again across this line. When he gets to here, we need him to turn 1/4 turn clockwise and then to move south to get down here. So it's really, really difficult when you can't picture what he looks like walking along there. But you have to just try your best to imagine what it would look like if you were walking on there and which direction you'd be facing. Okay, so we'll have a quick go at this, a bit of true and false. So you can shout at the screen, true or false, and see if you get it right. So the child is facing the pentagon. If they turn 90 degrees, that's a right angle, 1/4 turn clockwise, they will face the rectangle. True or false? What do you think? He's facing the pentagon. If he turns 1/4 turn clockwise or 90 degrees clockwise, he will face the rectangle. It is true, year 3. If you said true, well done, because there is one cut. Oh, Miss Brogan got it wrong. Sorry. 1, 2. My silly mistake. I can't, obviously, don't know my own angles. Sorry, children. If you said false, well done. I don't know what I was looking at. Yeah, it's 2 shapes. Sorry. It is false. He would be facing the star. I'm getting myself in a tizzy there. Sorry, children. He's facing the pentagon. This time we've got 2 shapes to count. I'm going to go back and just clarify this with you because that's my mistake. So if this was 12 o'clock here on a clock and I needed to get to 1/4 I'd need to move 2 shapes, wouldn't I? 1, 2 would be 1/4 turn. Sorry, children. So if he's facing the pentagon and he does 1/4 turn, he would go 1, 2 shapes, of course, Miss Brogan. Silly me, not to the rectangle. So it was false. He wouldn't be facing the rectangle. Even teachers make mistakes sometimes. Sorry, children. He would have been facing the star. So if you got that right, well done. I almost tricked myself there with that one. Let's have a look at the next one. Let's see if I can get it right myself this time. So he's now facing the star. If he turns 180 degrees, that's 2/4 turns. Anti-clockwise, he will face the triangle. So if he needs to move 2 shapes for 1/4, that's 1, 2, and another 2 to go, another 1/4, 1, 2. I think he would be facing his hexagon if he did a 1/2 turn. What do you think? That would make this false because he wouldn't be over here. He'd be up here. I'm hoping I get it right now this time. True or false? If he goes 180 degrees, which is a 1/2 turn, 2/4 turns. There's 1/4 turn, 2/4 turns anti-clockwise, he will face a triangle. Now, I think it's false. What do you think? It's false. Thank goodness I got it right that time. This would have been too far if it had gone to the triangle. It was false. And I said the hexagon and I was right. So now he's facing the hexagon. If they turn 270 degrees, that's three right angles. Degrees anti-clockwise, he will face the pentagon. So let's have a look then. So he's here, anti-clockwise, 3 right angle turns. 1, 2, 3. I think he'd be facing this shape down here, this cross-looking shape. Would he be facing the pentagon? I think that's false. Let's have a look. Oh, it's true. Do you know why it's true? Because I went in the wrong direction. Let's go back. Here we go again. Miss Brogan needs extra help, I think, on this topic. the child is facing the hexagon. If they turn 270 degrees anti-clockwise, see, I was going clockwise, children. See, these are really important mistakes we have to make to get it right when we're doing our work. Anti-clockwise is in the other direction. So 3 quarter turns. 1, 2, 3. He would be facing the pentagon. So remember, it's really important, unlike your teacher, to read whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise. I went the wrong way. So if he'd have gone clockwise, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, he would have been facing this cross, but that's not what it said. It said anti-clockwise, 1, 2, 3 quarter turns, making him face the pentagon. So it's really important that we read our instructions very carefully. Let's have a go at this one. So if the child, if he is facing the cross, if he turns 90 degrees anti-clockwise, he will face the circle. Now, 90 degrees, remember, is 1 quarter turn, 1 right angle. Now, this time, anti-clockwise is this way. 1 quarter turn. I think he would face the star. They're saying the circle. So I think it's false. What do you think? It's a tricky one, isn't it? Oh, it was false. I got it right that time. Thank goodness I read the question properly this time to make sure that I wasn't making a mistake. Remember, it's really important to read your instructions. We'll do one more, I think. So he's facing the hexagon. If he turns 360 degrees clockwise, remember that's a whole turn, he will face the hexagon. So, and it's clockwise, we need to go the right direction for the clock. So he's here. If he does 4 quarter turns or a whole turn, so there's 1 quarter turn, 2 quarter turn, 3 quarter turn, 4 quarter turn is 360 degrees, a full turn, he will be back where he started. So it's true. There we go. So I'm just going to stop the share there. Well done for listening really carefully. Miss Brogan needs to listen and read a bit more carefully. I'm going to let you listen to another little video clip now, which will explain a little bit more of the directions on there. It is quite a tricky one, this one, because you've got to be really careful, as you can see through what the mistakes I've just made, that you're following the instructions carefully to make sure that the turns are correct. Let me just get up the screen I would like you to listen to. Okay, so this is just followed on from yesterday's lesson, just talking a little bit more about those directions, and then I will show you what we're going to do today.
We can use right angles when we're thinking about direction. So Annie is facing east, and we've got our compass points here. You may be familiar with the compass points from working geography, or you might have done them in another maths topic. Annie is facing east. So there she is, she's facing east. She turns 1 quarter turn, so she's turned 1 quarter. Now, what direction could she be facing? Now, so that word could suggests that she may be facing one of 2 ways. Because it says she turns a quarter of a turn, but it doesn't say in which direction, does it? So she could turn a quarter clockwise, so she'd be facing south. Can you see the other way she could turn? From east for a quarter turn. She could turn a quarter anti-clockwise, couldn't she? So then she'd be facing north. So our answer there is south or north. How many right angles has she turned? Well, she's turned 1 quarter, hasn't she? Remember, there are 4 right angles in a full turn. So in a quarter turn, there's 1 right angle.
Now, remember we said there that 1 right angle is 90 degrees. So we could also say she's turned 90 degrees because she's turned 1 right angle. Now, the degrees are something you will learn more about in year 4. We'll touch on it a little bit tomorrow, very, very briefly, but it really isn't needed until year 4. It's just good to know a little bit in advance.
Using the compass points there, have a go at answering those 3 questions about Jack.
Let's pause it here. We can do this together. So Jack is facing south. Here's south. Naughty elephants squirt water, or never eat shredded wheat. So he's facing south down here. He turns 1/2 turn. So if it's a half turn, how many quarter turns is that? What's the equivalent of a half? Well done, if you remember, it's 2 quarter turns. Okay, so he's facing south. So he could turn clockwise 1 quarter turn, 2 quarter turns to make his half turn, to make him facing north, but he could also go anti-clockwise to make a half turn, or 2 quarter turns, 1 quarter turn, 2 quarter turns. He would still be facing north. Jack then turns 3 right angles. What 2 directions could he be facing now? So he's now facing north. He then turns 3 right angles. So let's go clockwise first. 1, that's 1 right angle. 2 right angles. 3 right angles. So he could be facing west. Let's go back up to north. Let's see if he goes anti-clockwise. 1 right angle. 2 right angles. 3 right angles. So he could be facing east. Let's have a listen.
So number 1, so he's facing south, so let's draw him facing south. He turns 1/2 turn. How many right angles has he turned? Well, he's facing north, he's turned through half a turn. How many right angles is that? It's 2, isn't it? We can see that there. Imagine 2 quarters to make up that half turn. So he's turned through 2 right angles. What direction is he facing now? Well, we don't have a choice there. He must be facing north if he started from south. And then he turns 3 right angles. So he's facing north this time, and he turns 3 right angles. What 2 directions could he now be facing? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3 right angles. So he could be facing west. Or if you went the other way around, he'd be facing east, of course. So west or east are your answers there. You should now have a good idea of what a right angle is, what it looks like, and how it relates to a full turn. If you have the White Rose Maths worksheet for this lesson, you're now ready to complete it. If not, have a look at this lesson, Right Angles in Shapes, on the BBC Bite Size website.
Okay, we're not going to do the BBC Bite Size website, but I wanted you to see that because you could use that yourself to learn a little bit more if you wanted to. So there's a lot of information for you to take in today, and I understand it's going to be quite a challenge because this is something we haven't done yet before. Your activities today are as follows. You've all got your own. So I'm going to start with the circles. Now, circles, you've got 2 sheets, sheet 1 and sheet 2. And that's only because we couldn't squeeze it all onto one sheet. So your Walt recognise that 2 right angles make a half turn, 3 right angles make 3/4 of a turn, and 4 make a complete turn. So you've got some questions to read here. It says, follow the instructions starting from where the arrow is pointing. Record where you land next to the prize. So down here it says prize. So you've got a circle and you've got some items around here and an arrow. Spin 1 right angle clockwise. So in the same direction as the clock. That's your first one. So put your finger on it. And then it says spin 2 right angles anti-clockwise. So we have to go back in the opposite direction. 1, 2. What do you land on? And you write it in there. So circles, you've got 4 questions on there. And on sheet 2, you've got an extra 2. It just didn't fit on one sheet. So don't be like me and not read the questions properly like I just did a minute ago. Read them really carefully. And if you get confused because there's more than one instruction, use a pencil and just put a dot where you are each time so you don't lose where you are until you get to your final answer. So that's the circles. Squares, you have also got 2 sheets. So your first sheet is to follow the directions to sail safely across the ocean. So you're starting on the start here, forward 2 squares, and you follow the directions here to see whether you can get to the finish line. So you're drawing kind of a line to show how you get to the finish line using these instructions here. Your sheet 2 squares, you've got a path already labelled out for you to get from a start to a finish, and you've got to have a go at writing your own instructions. So if we look at your first sheet, instructions like forward, a right angle turn clockwise, a right angle turn anti-clockwise, are the kind of things you're going to need to use. So look at your sheet here again. So here I would go forward 1 square. Here I am, and I'm facing north. So I need to do 1 right angle turn anti-clockwise. So my second one, so my first one would be 1 square forward. My second one here would be 1 right angle turn anti-clockwise, which would make me facing this way. And then I need to go 1, 2, 3 squares forward. Then when I get here, I'll be looking in the wrong direction because I'll be looking this way. I need to turn to face north again. So I would be saying 1 right angle turn clockwise. Okay, and so on. So it's quite a tricky one, that one. So that's for the squares. Hexagons. Now, it doesn't look like I've got hexagons open here, but I think this is what it is. Yeah, I don't know why it's not called hexagons. I need to check that. Hexagons, here's yours is here. You've got little circles here. It says draw an arrow to show which way you are facing. Shade the right angles you turn through onto the compass. Write down your new direction. So it says face north. So I would get a coloured pencil and go over that north facing arrow. Turn clockwise 1 right angle. Okay, so you're going down to here. So it says shade it in. So colour in that right angle here. And what are you facing now? So you may want to put on here north, south, east and west so you remember, and write down which way you're facing. So you're following the instructions, colour in how much you've turned and write down your new direction. If it were me, I would put NESW on here as a help for you. So that is the hexagons work. Now hexagons, there may be a few tricky ones here because you can see there are some medium lines in between. Can you see these lines in between here, hexagons? So if this is north here and this is east, do you know what this line would be called here? Just in case you land on it. Well, it's in between north and east, so we call it northeast, believe it or not. Down here is east and this is south. So what do you think this line would be? Southeast. This line here is between south and west. So what do you think that line would be? Southwest. And then we've got west and north. That line there in between them would be called northwest. So just in case you land hexagons on those in between lines, that's just a little bit of an extra information that you may need there. So that is the work that you're doing today. It's all found in the OneDrive. And if you manage to get your work done today, I think it's going to take you a bit of time today because there's a lot to think about. If you do get finished, if you go onto your Education City again, there is this activity here called Who Do You Think You Are, which is talking about direction. I'll just show it you so you know what to do. So this is your extension for if you finish your work today. And if you don't get a chance, if you don't get a chance to do it at the end of today's lesson, maybe you could start tomorrow with this activity because it all kind of flows into one another. So you just press start on here.
Ahoy, me hearties! Pirate Stan is looking through his trusty telescope from up high in the crow's nest. Listen carefully to the directions and think about what he will be looking at now. Pirate Stan turns anti-clockwise through 3 right angles.
Okay.
What will he be facing now?
So he's going anti-clockwise this way round and he's going 3 right angles. So he's going 1 right angle, 2 right angles, 3 right angles. I think he's facing the treasure chest.
Grand.
And then he moves to the treasure chest. Now we are checking your scores.
Pirate Stan turns clockwise through 3 right angles. What will he be facing now?
So you've got 8 questions there for your extension and we'll be checking on your scores on those as well. So just quickly as a recap, you've done your 5 a day. You've got your Learn screen on Education City that we've watched together, but you may want to watch it again as a recap. You've then got your individual sheet circles. You've got 2 sheets because they just didn't quite fit onto one. Squares, you've got 2 because you're doing the boat directions to follow and then writing your own. And hexagons, you're following the compass and you want to label your compass in advance so you can remember which way you're facing. If you finish that, you've got your extension on Education City, Who Do You Think You Are, which we will be checking the scores on. If you don't get to do that today, children, we do want you to do that activity because we can check all the scores on our teacher page. So if you don't get that done today, maybe you could start your maths lesson with that tomorrow. Good luck, everybody. Have a good maths lesson and I'll see you tomorrow.